All right, so let's see. I've been playing the through all of the chess bots, so that's my kind of goal is to learn how to play chess better, is just to continue playing against the chess.com bots and increasing difficulty. So I'm gonna actually go over to my game history and show. My last game is probably the best game I've ever played against the chess.com bots. So let's jump into it. I'll kind of go through, spoiler alert, the game review here briefly, and then also talk through just kind of what I was thinking at each move in the position, and analyze some of the things maybe I could have done better. One of the things I'm really curious about is the rating that the game review assigns to you. If this rating is accurate and I played at a 2250 level for this game, that's very exciting. The other thing I'll point out is that when you play the bots, by default, there's no clock. I turned on the clock setting because I want an accurate picture. So, of course, during shorter time formats, typically you're not going to play as well. You're going to get a worse rating. I'm not going to beat Fatima in under 15 minutes, whatever. For the purpose of beating bots, I consider it a win if I beat the bot in under an hour. Of course, the bot's not going to use very much time. It's going to move nearly instantly, but I give myself an hour for the purpose of these games, and I'm seeing how high I can get in terms of rating, how few mistakes I can make, etc. In this case, very happy with the result. This is probably one of my most accurate results at 91.3% accuracy. No serious mistakes or blunders, or sorry, no misses or blunders. One mistake. So let's jump into it and see this review. So the computer opens with e4. I choose the Sicilian defense. Um, I'm gonna actually accept this pawn. This is some sort of opening theory that I don't understand and I don't know about, but evidently it does give black a slight advantage from the beginning. Evidently, this is a mistake. This is actually the mistake that I made this game, and I assume there's some way to punish it that the computer didn't execute on this time. Maybe some knight to d5 is kind of unpleasant with some sort of bishop or queen follow up to threaten forks and all kinds of stuff there. So yeah, probably a mistake there. In reality, I think that I guess let's move forward. Okay, interesting. So the computer is saying that that it should have gone bishop to c4. So kind of curious about that. Let's go back and I want to see what the best is. Okay, I get that. Resume. Let's go forward. Okay, what's the best move? So it says that's bishop. I guess I'm not sure what the follow-up is after that bishop. Anyway, let's keep going. I don't want to make this video too long. So just a developing move with the knight, another developing move, strengthening this e5 pawn, bishop, and here I just kind of want to prevent any nastiness with the knight jump into b5 or something like that. It says I should threaten a bishop. Let's move forward. Okay, that's playable. So I pin the knight. And right here, this was a critical moment in the game. I thought this was a mistake when it happened, and I should take the knight. His only option would be to take back with this b2 pawn, which is going to create weaknesses in front of his king long term. However, to me, in a lot of these positions, it feels kind of difficult to rely on sort of long-term strategic planning against the computer. At a 2000 level bot, it just tends not to really make any obvious mistakes where you're gonna somehow get lucky and like checkmate the king or something like that, just because it's got some sort of weak pawns in front of it. So instead, I decided to prepare it. I still, I did seriously think about just capturing the knight immediately, but in the end, I decided to go for this knight move first, realizing I think I can get the bishop. The bishop doesn't really have any good squares here, and my plan was to trade off the bishop and then take the knight, trade a knight for a bishop one way or another here, and then take this knight back and create that weakness. So this is where the um, the computer makes a fairly serious mistake. Their best option was to pin my knight with the bishop there, and then that's going to free up, if I don't immediately take their bishop, it would free up their bishop on d5, I suppose, for a long. That would be an absolute long-term pain in the neck. I guess maybe the computer is sort of assuming that I'll take back and it'll get this really strong bishop on d5. Um, and again, just even at even at the bots that are rated 2000 above, it does seem like sometimes they play at a level that's lower than that, and that seems to be what's happening in part this game. So I think I make the right decision here, and I eliminate this bishop, which is also going to create weakness in front of the king as the doubled pawns. Now, it's interesting to me that I would have thought, hey, the the this knight cannot just be left here, and I don't think the computer can afford to let me stay a piece up, but evidently the evaluation thinks that it's better than capturing, or it thinks it's at least acceptable. So I have the opportunity now to trade my knight for bishop, takes back with a rook. I move my knight with tempo, and at this point it just trades bishop for knight, and I'm fine being up a piece and giving up a pawn here. It's wild to me that that's an okay move. I would have thought that rook captures was the way to go, but anyway, let's go ahead and move forward. There's probably something I'm missing there. Attacks the bishop. I move back, and the rest of this game kind of plays itself. I mean, I have bishop pair. I'm up a piece. Pretty straightforward. It's all about being careful. You'll notice the time on the clock, though. I actually haven't spent that much time so far, and you're going to see me burning a lot of time just trying to make sure I don't let this. At this point, I realize I have a great opportunity, right? Um, I just want to make sure I don't flub it, which happens a lot when you start playing against these higher level bots. Even you get a position that feels really good, you think you're winning, um, and then before you know it, you've blundered a piece and then another piece, and then you're getting checkmated. So here I recognized, I thought really hard about this one. I realized I can win this rook. Basically, doesn't have any squares. In just a second, if I attack it with the bishop. Um, it doesn't have anything along the D file, any place to move where it won't get traded off, and along the fourth rank or whatever this is, if it moves to any of these squares, a simple follow-up bishop move is going to trap it. So interestingly, the bot recognizes that and moves its knight to defend and just a plan, I guess, to recapture with an attack on the bishop. So I go ahead and take this. Takes back with queen. Actually, queen, yeah, threatening checkmate. So I have to deal with that. And of course, I'm up a piece, so I'm just going to go ahead and trade the queens off, which I do now. I move my rook out. Some more moves here. Move up. Now, at this point, the computer's really good at creating counterplay in these types of positions. Obviously, this is just a fairly strong bot, so it's going to find good moves in a lot of cases. So I capture a few more pawns. Now it wanted me to take this pawn, but let's see, there was a reason I didn't want to take that. I thought rook e5 was better because why was it? says this is okay. It says it's a good move. I think I'm trying to trap the knight here, is the point of that move. So, yes, now the knight is essentially trapped. So rather than taking the pawn, although taking the pawn would have also accomplished that now that I'm thinking about it. Not really, because the knight could have gone g4 and been defended by white's rook. So yeah, that was my thought there was, oh, I can do this. If the knight moves, then I take the pawn. Um, yeah, so actually I think that's what we see happen. The knight moves, take the pawn. And at this point, I go ahead and deliver a check. Check, move the king up, and now I just pin the knight. And at this point, just in order to make sure that I have this game in the bag and I don't somehow blunder it down the road, I just decide to trade down, right? So I take this, move my rook up. And yeah, I gave back some material there, but this is just much easier to play for me. So at this point, it's pretty straightforward. I just kind of push my pawn on the G file and move into checkmate. So um, actually, I thought I had used way more time than this. There's no way I had. I thought I had used almost all my time. That's crazy. I did beat this bot in 13 minutes. This is one of my most accurate games. Um, so that's exciting, actually. Let's go back over to my game history, and I'll show one other game here. You'll notice that I lost many times. I lost 6 times before I won. So um, it is my long-term goal to beat all the bots. That I'm not saying that it's easy. Even especially once I got to the 2000 level, I found it to be pretty challenging. So let's go look at the other game that I won. This one might have been the one I was thinking of when I mentioned using a lot of time. Yeah, you'll see this one I spent a lot more time and evidently played at a much worse level. So let's jump into the game review here. And this one I played a little bit longer ago, so I'm not sure that we're going to see as good of a performance here. But again, it's interesting. This performance says 2000 level, 2000 elo performance. I don't know how accurate that is. I'd be really interested um, to know more about how they come up with that. Well, let's go ahead and start the review here. So we have some opening theory here. Evidently, I already made a pretty big mistake. I don't really understand these openings that well, so evidently it's a real problem. This is unforgivable. uh, I don't know what I was thinking here. Didn't want the free bishop, I guess. I do get this nice connect connected pawns here. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I don't know how the computer made this mistake. But yeah, the knight's trapped. I recognize that. I put my queen there to take advantage. Um, it's a little unpleasant, but I have to defend this first before I can take that knight. Uh, he's, you know, trying to. This is an interesting one. I have the right idea here. It's kind of interesting that it suggests this pawn f6 move, um, and I move bishop g7 with the same idea, right? This knight's trapped. Now I'm going to double up on it, capture it since it's being defended by the queen. But now that I think about it, it does make sense. If with this bishop move, he has the ability to eliminate this pawn, by my king, and it's just not as well, not really, because queen would hang. So even if he takes it, hangs the queen. I don't understand why it prefers that. Maybe it's this queen move. How did I lose a winning advantage here? What do it want me to do? It wanted me to take the knight and allow the queen to come in and take that bishop. Then I castle maybe. I'm not sure what the follow-up would be there, but let's go ahead and keep moving here. So I blunder this. Yeah, that's ridiculous, especially with the amount of time I'm spending already on these moves. This knight d5 move is pretty obvious, right? Take this. If I take back, my queen hangs and I lose the game. So anyway, I just totally missed that. Do you recognize that it's time to go ahead and castle? All right, what was the right move here? Back with the knight. Yeah, I think I might have noticed that after I played that rook move, but thankfully the bot didn't recognize it. Now it's just a completely winning game. I feel like this one I didn't play as well. The bot just played much worse. Um, this is technically the same level of bot, but I just kind of grind out a winning position here. So interesting moves here. I have to be. This is how tricky the bot is. So watch this. You know, it looks like I'm just totally winning. Um, it comes and checks me on c6, and now it's just so tempting to be like, oh, it moved its rook. Um, I can go ahead and take this rook. No, I can't. If I take this rook, it's a stalemate, right? Which would be heartbreaking. So I'm very thankful that I recognize that. And I like not to take the rook. Actually, it ends up taking the queen, and I'm fine with that. So now I can go ahead and just push pawns and win the game. So anyway, yeah, that was a good one. I'm glad I didn't blunder it at the end there. It would have been really easy to sort of instinctively take the rook, and then it would have been a stalemate. So didn't fall for that this time. And yeah, I've put a few more notches against the bots recently. So let's go back. Let's look at our bots, and of course you'll see that you know one of the things I like about chess.com playing these bots is that it does allow you to play them with hints, with takebacks or different things. But if you play the bot without any hints or any help of any kind, then you get this, you know, you get 3 crowns indicating that you've completely, you know, destroyed that bot. So I think I'm going to see a huge jump when I get up to master level, but we'll see. I have 2 more bots in this advanced level to knock off, so we'll see how that goes. Hope that I can do it before too long. Anyway, stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next time.